Hello and welcome to this week's Rotherham Advertiser SportsChat Podcast. Joining me around the table is Miller's correspondent David Beddows.
Hello.
And news editor Michael Upton.
Hello.
Gentlemen, it's a case of same old for Rotherham United as they fell to a 4-2 defeat away at Blackburn. That's now the fourth away defeat of the season. And 14 goals conceded on the road, Dave. Just the two scored, and obviously they were on Saturday. How bad was it? Was a scoreline a fair reflection?
Well, I mean, we have managed to lay a glove on a home team this time, haven't we? A couple of gloves courtesy of Danny Ward, but I mean, deja vu this. We've seen it before, haven't we, this season? Too much space, too much time for the opposition, individual mistakes, collectively not strong enough, and the outcome was predictable, really.
Michael, why do you think? What do you put it down to the fact that Rotherham are making these individual errors away from home? But yeah, at home they seem to be at least in the game for much longer. They're not getting swept aside as easily at home.
No, it's staggering, isn't it? It's amazing to think an Alan Stubbs team seems to be so terrible at defending. That's 20 goals conceded in 8 games. I'll get to your question in a second, but isn't it amazing that they're like charity donors of the year? Aston Villa came into the season desperate for some hope and got a nice comprehensive home win. Blackburn hadn't won all season, looked doomed for the drop.
And Cardiff next.
And they got a nice donation from that Rotherham defence. I'm not quite sure why home and away form have been so different. Maybe they got a bit complacent after scoring early. But the goals seem to come in quick succession, don't they? Or at really bad times. That's common home and away. Conceding just after half time is pretty criminal. They should be fully focused at the start of the second half, and I think that third goal was what really would have been the straw that broke the camel's back, wouldn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it was. It was just too easy for Ben Marshall to cut in and pick his spot with a curler. This after Stubbs had stressed him at half time. The next goal's vital. 2.5 time.
Well, Dave, Stubbs has said in the press after the game that that one or two of the players need to take responsibility, need to have a look at themselves, and they can't complain if they're out with the team now. But it's quite ironic, 'cause a couple of weeks ago he said he'd never blame the team and he'd take all the blame and he wanted the fans to aim criticism at them, and now he's firing shots at players. Is it warranted?
I think that's what one or two bad results do, isn't it? I mean, as he says, his patience is wearing thin. I think he's particularly looking at the senior players here, to provide a lead. I mean, Dale Fry's still only young, he was in defence. He was given a rough time by Rovers front two, who were both decent. And we're just making it too easy. I mean, ironically, the thing is, there's a lot of space. I made the point that the pitch seems to be bigger when we play away from home, purely because the other team has too much time and space, and the space was down the sides on Saturday rather than through the middle, it seemed to me. But there are recurring themes here that need sorting out.
The fact remains, Dave, that this is a team of new players getting used to playing together, and the manager who's new to the club. It's no surprise that most of the teams that have started the season well have been ones that haven't got that many new players, or teams like Newcastle that have kept some of their decent players and they're kind of a bit of experience about them. We've mentioned before, Rotherham's experienced players have either been shipped out or unavailable largely, and you do wonder if he got a run of 10 games with a settled side, how they get on. But the problem in a league like this, which is so competitive, and a team like Blackburn can score 4 goals in a single game, having been so disastrous all season, is that 4 or 5 bad results, it becomes a crisis, and you can get not only getting sucked in, but you maybe get caught adrift. I mean, lose to Cardiff, and we really are in crisis.
Yeah, quite. I mean, Rotherham. I think it's worth remembering that Rotherham generally have been a poor away side in the 2 seasons in the Championship. We've won only 8 games across 2 seasons. This isn't an usual discussion we're having here, but it's the scale of these defeats, the heavy defeats. They're not in games as such. While we're stressing the negative all the time, I just want to say a word for Danny Ward, who scored 2 more. He's up to 4 for the season, and Izzy Brown behind him, who were quality at times, threading the ball through. He at times looked like we're playing Rovers on his own. So there were some pluses there. And Camp, of course, who at times must have felt like you're on a firing range, made some good saves.
I can't remember who it was who said a couple of weeks ago, maybe Jonathan Veal from PA, that Lee Camp could be the first Championship goalkeeper to concede 100 goals in a season and still be Player of the Year.
Well,
there's a possibility there. But Danny Ward, to be fair to him, I've said in the past, one of the problems the Millers have had is they've not had a focal point, a permanent centre forward who knows he's my number 9. Who the manager said he's my number 9. He's going to lead the line for the season. Danny Ward is making that position his own. It'd be nice if he had a bit of help. If maybe Dexter Blackstock could come in and share some of the load if he's available. But Danny Ward has long looked like a player who needs to play up front. He'll work his socks off for you, and it's good to see him getting the rewards of some goals, because I think he deserves a bit of net busting action after all this kind of chasing lost causes.
Absolutely. Well, Brown threaded him through for the first goal, of course, and then he threaded him through again about a minute later, and there was a decent block. And he was much nearer to him, and he was finding him. There was more sign of an understanding there between Brown and Ward, which augurs well, but the worries
behind that.
Yeah,
it's quite ironic as well that a lot of the pre-season grumbles and worries were aimed towards the lack of firepower, and the problem seems to be at the other end of the pitch.
It does, yeah, and the other end of the pitch is the midfield as well, isn't it? I mean, Stubbs were forced to hook both Scott Allen and Greg Alford.
Poor games from them.
Yeah, particularly. Both were both well down now they played in the previous match, and but there's no shielding from the back four, and there's problems right across there.
So looking forward, then we're heading into a home tie against Cardiff. Rotherham unbeaten at home. Look much more in games at home against a team who are struggling. They're down at the foot of the table.
So this is a great opportunity against the Cardiff side. It's also a banana skin because there's more pressure in a way.
But what do the fans need to see? Would they be happy losing 2-1 if Rotherham showed the fight and spirit? Would they be happy with a 1-0 win if it was another abject performance? What do the Rotherham fans need to see from this team?
I think they want another Nottingham Forest show, don't they? And get this team. The worrying thing, the thing about Saturday is that Rovers were nervous at the back, but they weren't asking enough questions. And we've got Cardiff coming here, we're on a wobbly run of form, we need to get at them.
Michael, returning to fitness, Lee Frecklington come on in the last 2 games and made an impact in both. Joe Newell also was on the bench on Saturday. Do you think these players should be now getting in the starting lineup?
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? You can be forgiven for thinking that Joe Newell was no longer with the club, because there's been so little mention of him throughout the summer. A year ago, or maybe slightly less, we were talking about him being targeted.
He did have a bad injury towards the end of the season.
Absolutely, but it's not like we've been hearing, we'll have Joe Newell back soon, it'll be wonderful, from all sides. I think a fit Joe Newell and a fit Lee Frecklington on the side will make a massive difference. But again, it remains to be seen if they can't get the ball, if it's constant battering around at the other end, then and they're going to have to do their fair share of work there as well. Then it's academic what your attacking options are. I don't think Joe Newell's going to be in the side to win a 50-50, to be fair to him. I think he's going to be a bit more creative than that, and maybe get up and show some of that goal scoring that he's best known for as well. But I think Stubbs needs to get a solid, settled back four.
In fairness, the last 3 or 4 games, only Darnell Fisher out on Saturday. The other 3 since Friday came have been fairly consistent.
Get them working. This is the key thing: get them working effectively together. Because you're going to settle back four that concedes 6 goals in 2 games.
What's the average of goals conceded per game? 3 point something?
3 point something.
Nearly 3.5, something like that.
Yeah,
3.5 goals per game.
And it's completely academic. So. I think Dave was you were saying what do people want against Cardiff. I think we want a clean sheet, regardless of the result. I think a clean sheet is absolutely vital, because just over the horizon in a couple of weeks' time we've got Newcastle, and we know what they're capable of, both the sublime and the ridiculous. And it'd be nice to think that the defence will be confident and we can have a go at their rather flaky defence.
Right, gentlemen, we'll wrap it up there and call it a day for today. Just one last thing to get your predictions for Saturday. Dave, what are you thinking? There's a look of trepidation on your face.
We've got to try and back up for this one, haven't we? I'll take 2-1. I'll take 2-1. We've been, the New York form's not been disastrous, has it? Although we could do another 2 win there. There's more pressure on this form though at home now, because how we're failing away from home. So I'll go for 2-1.
The recovery time is important, but in a way it's kind of disappointing this isn't a midweek game, because I think they'd be desperate to get back into it. And I think actually Cardiff could get completely crushed in a midweek game. I think the crowd would really be up for it. But Saturday afternoon, it depends how up for it they are. I think get the first goal and get through at half time at 1-0, and I think it could be a 1-0 win. We'll go for that.
Right, so both men going for a 1-0 win on the podcast. Going for a win on the podcast. That's that's strange after the last few games. Let us know what you think and your predictions are by tweeting us at RothTiserSport. Make sure you buy your advertise this Friday for in-depth reaction to the Blackburn game and your preview to the Cardiff game, along with words from manager Alan Stubbs in the build-up to that. Well, thank you for listening. Say goodbye for now. Thank you.